Court grants Nnamdi Kanu another chance to open defense. Arewa group denounces American narrative involvement. Away from Nigeria, Cameroon security forces killed 48 in election protests. Hello and welcome to the news update on Trust TV. My name is Idris Dayebaturi. Now, the Association of Resident Doctors Federal Capital Territory Administration ARDF-CTA says it has confirmed the partial payment of outstanding salary arrears and allowances owed to its members, but insisted indefinite strike will continue. ARDF-CTA resident George Ebong said in a statement that 28 doctors recently received long overdue salary arrears, while some were paid their medical residency training fund. However, 47 out of 150 doctors are still awaiting payment. Ebong commended FCT Minister Nyesim Wiki for initiating the payment process, but stressed that resolving only part of their demand is not enough to end the strike. He noted that the association remains open to dialogue and continues to engage with the National Assembly and FCTA management to address all pending issues. Resident doctors joined the nationwide indefinite strike declared by the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, on November 1 over unmet welfare and funding demands. Now, dozens of dental students at the University of Jos have staged a protest over the non-accreditation of their program, which has left many of them in school for more than a decade without graduating. The students on Wednesday blocked the university's main gates, chanting solidarity songs and carrying placards reading, "Save us from unending depression and our future is on hold." President of the Dental Student Association, Johnson Titus, said the university failed to inform students that the program lacked accreditation before admitting them. Another student, Nweki Pius, accused the school of insincerity, claiming management gives conflicting information about the accreditation status. A source close to the Vice-Chancellor, Tanko Ishaya, said the university was working to resolve the issue, including plans to procure new equipment and secure accreditation from the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. The protesting students vowed not to leave the university gate until their demands are met.
Solidarity forever! Solidarity forever! We shall always...
Now, outrage has erupted in Ogoni land after the overhead water tank at the newly commissioned Dugwara Water Project in Kano local government area of Rivers State collapsed just 4 days after inauguration. The project, executed by the Hydrocarbon Pollution Remediation Project HYPREP under the Federal Ministry of Environment, was part of the ongoing Ogoni cleanup initiative aimed at providing clean water to the Gwara community. Eyewitnesses said the structure suddenly gave way, sending the tank crashing to the ground. No casualties were reported, but residents expressed disappointment over the quality of work and demanded accountability. Community members have called on the Tinubu administration and HYPAP to investigate the incident, review construction standards, and rebuild the facility, warning that the collapse threatens the long-awaited promise of safe drinking water for the region. Now, residents of Ilobu in Osun State have appealed to both the federal and state government to come to the aid of persons affected by the recent communal clash in the town. They lamented that many of the displaced residents remain homeless, while those whose businesses were destroyed have been rendered jobless. Trust TV's Hamido Egbadi now reports.
Though peace has gradually returned to Ilobu town in Irekodun local government area of Osun State, the community is yet to recover from the devastating impact of the conflict. Several businesses were destroyed, many lives were lost, and numerous residents were displaced after their homes were set ablaze during the crisis. Some of the affected residents said they are slowly rebuilding their lives and returning to their homes.
Some are still a refugee in their hometown. What do I mean? Those buildings that were burned down. I mean, most people that are residing, that have their building very in the border area, border with Ifon, border with Erin. Those buildings were raised down.
They cannot go back to their home. They cannot go back to their farm. You have people that have burned down their farm. There's no way for them to survive. So those are the things that we would like government to please come to our aid, so that those people that are displaced will go back to their houses and see what they can do to make them feel better again.
Meanwhile, the umbrella body of all indigenous groups in the town, the Ilobu Ashake Development Union, has distributed palliatives to some of the affected persons. The president of the union, Olufemi Salako, called on government to support the ongoing resettlement efforts.
During the crisis, businesses were destroyed, businesses were burnt, houses were burnt, people were displaced. And the more the pain lingers, the more it's difficult to move on. And we are trusting in government to come in and help us, particularly in resettling those whose homes were destroyed, whose businesses were destroyed, so that they can get back on their feet and the scar and the pain of all the crisis can actually be forgotten. And that's our appeal to government. During the crisis, NEMA came in to help us give some relief materials immediately. But now we've gone beyond that. We're in the rebuilding stage. So we need the help of the government.
The residents of Ilobu also urged government and security agencies to ensure lasting peace in the area. Amid Oyegbade, Trust TV News, Osogbo.
Now, the Federal High Court in Abuja has, for the fourth time, given detained IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu another opportunity to defend himself against terrorism charges filed by the federal government. Justice James Omotosho adjourned the case till November 7 after Kanu again refused to open his defense, insisting that the charges against him were invalid and based on a repealed law. The court had earlier dismissed Kanu's no-case submission, ruling that a prima facie case had been established. However, he has repeatedly declined to proceed, arguing that the prosecution failed to amend the charge as directed by the Supreme Court. Kanu told the court he was willing to open his defense but needed time to consult with his legal team. Justice Omotosho said the adjournment was granted in the interest of justice, giving Kanu what he described as one more opportunity to present his defense. Now, gunmen have killed 2 people and injured another during an attack on Ibadu Akpacha community in Omale local government area of Kogi State. The assailant reportedly invaded the area late Tuesday night, shooting sporadically and robbing residents. The victim said to be local miners had relocated to the community about 2 years ago following coal mining activities. A community leader said that the attackers operated for nearly an hour without resistance due to their heavy firepower. The Kogi State Police Command has yet to comment on the incident. Meanwhile, troops of the 12th Brigade of the Nigerian Army have rescued 2 kidnapped victims and recovered 3.8 million naira meant for ransom during an operation along the Itobe-Adumu-Ejule axis. Army spokesperson Lieutenant Hassan Abdullahi said the troops acted on credible intelligence and engaged the kidnappers in a gun battle, forcing them to flee with gun wounds. With rescued victims and recovered cash are now in safe custody. Now, the governor of Borno State, Babagana Zulum, has distributed 62 patrol trucks to security agencies in Maiduguri and other parts of the state. The governor urged the benefiting security agencies to utilize the vehicles for the protection of lives and properties in vulnerable communities. While appreciating the federal government's efforts in the area of security, he assured of continued support for logistics and other needs for security agencies and parliamentary groups to rid the state of insurgents.
as usual, or I can say the continuation of our efforts to support security apparatus in Borno State with the equipment and logistics needed for them to function effectively. This morning, we are here to distribute vehicles. The numbers of the vehicles that we are distributing this morning amount to 62 Toyota Hilux. Out of these 62 Toyota Hilux, 30 will be given to civilian JTL.
Thank you very much, immensely. And we assure you that the vehicles will be judiciously used, and assure you that crime rate in Borno State will be combated accordingly. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Now, residents of Lagos State have expressed support for President Tinubu's decision approval of a 15% import duty on petrol and diesel imports. They are, however, calling on the authorities to take proactive measures and sanction all investors who were granted refinery licenses but have yet to commence operations, insisting that the dependence on fuel importation must stop. Trust TV's Victoria Tokolo has more.
A fresh round of fuel price increases may be imminent as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the 15% ad valorem import duty on petrol and diesel. Petroleum experts warn that the new import duty could push fuel prices above 1,000 naira per litre in major cities across the country. Based on current market projections, petrol prices could rise from the current 950 naira to 960 naira per litre to about 1,050 naira, while diesel prices may climb to between 1,120 naira and 1,140 naira per litre in cities like Lagos and Abuja. Despite the looming hike, many Lagos residents believe the move is a positive step that would encourage local refining and reduce Nigeria's dependence on imported fuel. They argue that Nigeria, being richly endowed with crude oil and rather raw materials for petroleum products, should be self-sufficient in refining rather than importing fuel. Residents also urge the federal government to sanction individuals and companies who were issued refinery licenses but have failed to build or begin operations, stressing that such negligence undermines national development. They cited the Dangote refinery as an example of a functional model that is already contributing significantly to employment and economic growth in the country.
Bereft of the suffering of the people. That means the government, they are not even aware, or if they are aware, they are just being yes, it seems not to be concerned about the welfare of the citizens. You know, we are already burdened by too much pressure from so many unpalatable and draconian policies and laws of this government and action of the government. You know, I want to appeal to the government that they should see reasons. They are there for the masses. They are not there for themselves, whatever. They are there for the masses. So they want to see reasons. And whatever, if I'm quite sure that this thing has not been implemented, so they have to have a rethink.
With due respect to the so-called experts, I don't subscribe to that their opinion, because since we have crude oil, we should be encouraged to produce, not encouraged to import. We have somebody who is producing petroleum products and diesel products. We should encourage him. And government has given license to companies that claim that they want to establish refineries. Those ones should be encouraged. We should stop anything importing finished product of petroleum to the country. Are we paying according to what we should pay? If the government decides to increase, that is so be it. That's it. Everybody should check his or herself. That's it. That's how this country can move.
First of all, what's the problem? What's the business that Nigeria have with fuel importation? A country that have fuel, they have fuel, they have crude oil, they have about 3 refineries. And the other, even Dangote refinery is there. What business do we have with fuel importation? Does it mean that we cannot produce fuel we can use through our crude oil? Payment of 15% import duty or whatever they call it is to encourage importation.
The residents further appealed to the federal government and petroleum experts to prioritize the full rehabilitation and operation of Nigeria's 3 major refineries in Port Harcourt, Warri, and Kaduna. They believe that once these refineries are fully operational, fuel importation will no longer be necessary and the nation's economy will experience substantial growth.
Now moving on to more stories. Tobacco use causes between 16,000 and 30,000 deaths in Nigeria each year, according to the World Health Organization and national health authorities, mostly from heart disease, stroke, and cancer. In response, Nigeria's tobacco tax policy is once again under review as the country prepares to roll out a new excise regime in January 2025. The move is part of ongoing effort to align with global health standards and reduce the affordability of tobacco products. Neil Sampson has more.
Over 18 billion cigarettes are sold in Nigeria annually, costing Nigerians more than $931 million. Since 2018, the country has implemented a mixed excise tax system on tobacco products, in line with recommendations from the World Health Organization's Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, particularly Article 6, which advocates higher taxes to discourage tobacco use. The policy was last reviewed in 2022, and the current regime is set to expire in June 2025. However, discussions are already underway for a new framework expected to take effect early next year.
The tobacco companies have continued through all sorts of pumps to create chaos, health chaos for Nigerians. They enter movies, and encouraging, pin makers to be smoking. But thank God, CAPA, an organization that is also, holding corporate institutions accountable, have worked with the government to ensure that the use of consumption of tobacco, especially the cigarette and the weed and shisha, are discouraged in our PIMS.
When you use tobacco, number one, people become addicts. At every point in time, they want to use their resources on tobacco. So in a way, it takes away what I call the source of livelihood from people, as well. Because when you are addicted to a particular substance or a product like tobacco, you want to take it every now and then, and in a way, it's taking away your resources.
Meanwhile, Trust TV crew took to the streets of the Federal Capital Territory to gauge public opinion, including that of smokers, on whether higher tobacco prices would discourage consumption.
When you look around now, it's not everybody that smoke colos, because colos too cost. It's people that have money smoke colos. If you don't have money to smoke colos, you use the money and smoke cigar with it. As you buy half 100 naira, you buy 3 cigar or 4 cigar now, 100 naira. But cigar reach 100 naira now. If you carry 100 naira, go buy 1 stick of cigar. If cigar reach 100 naira, I don't feel smoke cigar again.
Even you reach 300, I go stop her. I dey go Junction sell water. Even that water money, na cigar they carry am. Yesterday I smoke cigar 700 naira. That my pure water I dey sell am 2,205 after my business money. So may them try stop cigar, may they increase the money, may person no fit buy at all.
Everybody can smoke cigar. Cigar is like for fun. But some people are taking it excess, which I can't justify it.
Health experts warn that tobacco remains a major public health challenge, causing cancers, heart disease, lung illness, and pregnancy complications, while secondhand smokers endanger non-smokers. Economically, tobacco use drains healthcare budgets, reduces productivity, and burdens households. Socially, it fuels addiction, harms young people, and damages the environment, making it one of the world's leading preventable killers. Well, Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, reactions are growing over the United States designation of Nigeria as a country of a particular concern and President Donald Trump's threat of possible intervention. A group Rebuild Arewa Initiative for Development has rejected what it called a forced genocide claim, urging the Trump administration to back Nigeria with intelligence and logistics support instead of threats. At a press conference in Abuja, the group's spokesperson Bitako Umar said branding Nigeria on the pretext of religious persecution would only deepen regional and religious divisions.
We have for years worked to promote peace, unity and development across our communities. We have witnessed and documented the realities on ground, and we state clearly and unequivocally that Trump and his senators' claim do not represent the truth about Nigeria scenario. What is happening in our country, especially in the north, is not genocide. It is a complex crisis driven by insecurity, poverty, terrorism, and the collapse of social and economic structures. Our people, both Christians and Muslims, are victims of the same violence. Bandits do not ask for religion before they kill or kidnap. Boko Haram has slaughtered imams and pastors alike. Farmers and traders of all faiths have suffered the same fate in the hands of criminals. To single out Christians as victims of genocide is not only misleading, but an insult to every family that has lost loved ones in this senseless violence.
Now, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, says the country's crude oil production has risen to 1.7 million barrels per day, with plans to hit 2 million barrels per day by 2027 and 3 million in the long term. Group Chief Executive Officer Bashir Ojulari disclosed this during the Energy Talk session at the Abu Dhabi International Petroleum Exhibition and Conference, ADIPEC 2025 in the UAE. Ojulari said the growth is driven by renewed partnership with international and local oil firms, new government incentives, and expanded gas and energy projects. He reaffirmed NNPCL's goals of attracting up to $60 billion in new investment by 2030 through collaboration with OPEC members, African oil companies, and global financial institutions. Ojulari also highlighted major infrastructure projects, including the near completion of the Ajaokuta, Kaduna, Kano, and Obiafu-Obricom-Oben pipelines, as well as the rollout of cleaner energy solutions under the presidential CNG initiative. He described Nigeria as a key player in the Africa's energy future and said under President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, NNPCL aims to transform the nation into a diversified investment-driven energy hub. Now, away from Nigeria, at least 48 people have been killed in Cameroon following a violent crackdown on protest over President Paul Biya's re-election, according to UN sources. Most of the victims were reportedly shot dead, while others died from injuries sustained after being beaten by security forces. The majority of the killings occurred in the littoral region, home to the port city of Douala. The Cameroonian government has not released an official death toll or launched an investigation into the incident. Official results declared President Biya the winner with nearly 54% of the vote, while his former ally, Issa Chiroma, who had initially claimed victory on the first day of counting, came second and is believed to have fled the country. And with that, we've come to the end of the news update on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all our media platforms and also watch us live on YouTube for more news programs and documentaries. My name is Idris Layebatura. Thank you for being with us. Good evening.